Hi everyone from European Research and Education Conference from Berlin, and I have Constantin here with me. So Constantin, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Constantin Gonzalez. I'm a principal field technologist at Sun in Germany.
Okay, so Constantin, we know you are specialized on cloud computing. In simple words, could you please explain us what is cloud computing?
Well, cloud computing is really a couple of technologies that fit together to form a completely virtualized range of services that are elastic, that can be used on a pay-as-you-go basis, that enable you to create a whole data center infrastructure without having to pay for any hardware upfront. So it's really the next level after grid of standardizing data center infrastructure and offering very flexible IT services.
Okay, so can you please tell us more which technology is working behind cloud computing?
I would say that the biggest enabler for cloud computing is visualization. So we have learned about visualization as a tool for consolidating all data centers and bring a little bit more efficiency with it. But I guess the next level of using virtualization as a base technology is to provide a completely virtual infrastructure where you no longer know what your server is running on, and you are just using a server as a virtual concept inside a cloud, as opposed to having your traditional piece of hardware. So virtualization is probably the biggest enabler. And the second biggest enabler there is automation. Data center automation enables you to manage virtualized instances and manage virtual services without having to rely on operators to do your stuff, and streamlining the whole data center management process. So automation of data centers plus virtualization, and then some other ingredients like software as a service. If you put them all together, you can create a cloud infrastructure.
Okay, it looks quite interesting, but how can companies benefit from this cloud computing technology?
So the first obvious benefit, and this is why it's interesting to most companies right now, is just a more streamlined, more optimized infrastructure that helps you cut costs. But of course, cutting costs is just one half of the picture. The more interesting part is there you get better business agility. By agility, I mean back 10 years ago, you bought a big machine and then you hope that you will fill it up with a growing customer base or a growing user base, and then your infrastructure sort of pays off. But then people started to think, okay, wouldn't it be more efficient to have a horizontally scalable infrastructure so I can only pay for each individual chunk that I add to my data center and grow more organically? And this is what we have seen in the past. And now some companies are facing the problem, what if I don't need that much infrastructure tomorrow, but then maybe the next day? So my favorite example is if you're running a website that is covering the Olympics, you will have large traffic in 1 year, and then you will have almost no traffic 3 years after, only to come back after 4 years with large traffic that you need to do. So what do you do if you have a scalable infrastructure, but all of a sudden you're sitting on a pile of hundreds of servers that you don't need for the next 3 years? And this is where cloud computing really helps you deal with the ups and downs of business by being elastic, meaning that you can grow and shrink your infrastructure and adopt much better to your demand that you see in the marketplace. So that's probably the biggest benefit. You get a lot more of flexibility. And the other benefit there is also through the automation of the whole data center rollout and data center development process, you as a developer get more freedom to set up the systems the way you like it without having to always strike deals with your infrastructure people and trying to negotiate which version of Apache, which version of whatever you want. You get your virtual machine, you do whatever you want with it, you can roll it out 100 million times, as many times as you want, and you only get paid by the drink. You pay only as much as you really do. So more flexibility, more efficiency, and a more flexible programming model.
Okay, and finally, what are your recommendations to the students? What are the opportunities for them?
Oh, I see a lot of opportunities. I think cloud computing has really lowered the barrier once more for playing around with interesting infrastructure. In the past, you had to own your own server or more than one server in order to be able to set up a web infrastructure. Today, you can set up a whole web infrastructure, a whole web service from your laptop or even from the internet cafe without owning a single piece of hardware. And you don't need to pay for that hardware, only for as much as you really use it. So you can set up a whole web service that scales like Google without having to pay for all the hardware up front. And of course, if you get a million users, you will have to pay for the necessary infrastructure, but hopefully you will make the relevant amount of money. So I think cloud computing is a very nice lab environment for trying out your web ideas, setting up a prototype, and later on go into a pilot phase of a project with cloud computing. So as a recommendation, check out the different flavors of cloud computing, go to sun.com/cloud and see the infrastructure as a services that we offer there. Also go to zembly.com, that's ZEMBLY.com, where you can set up a web application by simply programming JavaScript that's running in the cloud. You don't have to care about infrastructure, you just put together your JavaScripts and then you will have a web service. So that's probably the easiest way to get started right there.
Okay, that's really interesting. So I'd like to thank you to Constantin.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing
Thank
your
you very
ideas.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.